facilities meeting to order. Welcome everybody here today. Do we have any public comment? Approval of minutes for November 2nd, 2016. We have in front of us.
As we know, we bid out the tennis courts a few months back, and it came into roughly over $500,000, about $513,000. Mr. Boyer and I have looked at a few different options to potentially reduce the cost or give the board a couple different options to look at. So I'm going to propose four options actually to you. Look on the screen as well, and I'll try to walk you through what it's going to look like. Obviously, I didn't have new renderings drawn up, so what I used is just an old, one of the older drawings. Option one, option A, is what you see here, is what we have now. The expansion of the tennis courts, 4 courts. We're expanding into PIAA, replacing the fence, replacing the deck, replacing the drainage. Pretty bare bones what we bid out, and this came into roughly over $500,000. Option B is looking at the possibility of reducing these courts to 2 courts. Now, what this would look like is if you picture the 2 courts running right down the middle, one here and one here. What that does is that eliminates the need for retaining walls, which is the heavy dollar item. Both retaining walls on the Wyoming side and also on the football field side. So by putting them down the middle, you would reduce that cost. The pros would be obviously the reduction in cost. Some of the cons would be, I spoke with the department chair for physical education and also the athletic director. Phys Ed and athletics concur that reducing to 2 courts would just not give them the amount of square footage needed to hold a physical education class in just 2 courts. Also, we'd have limited use for our tennis team. Obviously, it would be for overflow, but it would not be as viable as having 4 courts for full practices or overflow of several matches for JV. So that's a big con for reducing that to 2 courts, but it would allow us to save roughly, with option B, you'd be looking around cutting that cost in half to about $270,000 if we went to that version of
Just a question on B. Will that change the footprint we're looking at here? Would that be a smaller footprint then?
Basically, yes. It would be going down the middle. You would have some more green area on this side and some more green area on that side. But another thing to consider with option B, we would have to modify the fence design as well to tie in to secure the field. So you need to tie in up here at the north end, and we'd have to tie in. My guess, we wouldn't have to add any pillars, but we'd have to add some just sections of the wrought iron fencing to bridge that gap. Should be minimal, but there will be some modifications to the fence design.
That might be an issue because I don't know whether the fundraising group has raised enough money to cover that adjustment. And I guess we don't even know what that adjustment would be, to be honest with you.
We don't know what, yes, at this point we do not know what that I could look into that price, but at this point we don't know what that price is.
Okay. Yeah. You have any questions?
No, I don't. I mean, I do think they raised more than needed for the original part. So.
Yeah, I think there's a cushion there. I just didn't know whether the cushion was enough. I don't want to put them in a position of having to go back and try to get more money when they think they fundraised enough for the project. So that's a little bit of a sticky issue there.
Absolutely. Okay, option C is the option we talked about back in October, yes, is basically the Band-Aid method. I hate to call it that, but that's layman's terms. Basically, overlaying the decking that we have there now, so overlaying the asphalt, removing the fencing material and sleeving those posts and putting new fabric in. Basically, it's cosmetic. You do not deal with the subsurface issues, which is the drainage. The drainage runs along the football field side, and we know that to be compromised. Basically, when the court drains, it's draining underneath the courts, and that is what's causing the cracking and expanding of that asphalt. So, by doing option C, that would only be a temporary solution. Option C still comes in around $228,000 to replace the decking and cosmetic. That does not take care of the retaining wall or football field that has been, that is cracking. It's not falling over, but it is cracking and showing signs of age. So that is option C. Pro of that is cost savings. Another pro is it would still, it would create a safe environment for our kids. Short term, it cannot be guaranteed long term that the cracking and the heaving will not return if we don't take care of the drainage issue. So that's the con.
I guess it's a hard question. We don't know how long this Band-Aid will last.
We don't. Brian Bigman, the architect that has been helping us out with this project, he estimated in his professional opinion 5 to 10 years. That's all he would feel comfortable when saying more than 10 years.
But I mean, it would look nice.
Absolutely. You'd have a solid deck. You'd have new fencing. You'd have the existing footprint that we have now. We have usable courts. The question would be how long till it starts cracking again and becomes unusable. If you don't, the main thing is that drainage is all old terracotta piping from the 30s that we found on the football field when we did the football field renovation, and we know that to be compromised because basically everything is pitched to the left and then drains down into a sewer right about here. So all that water that's coming off, we know a majority of it is not making it to here and going into the municipal stormwater system, or the borough, I should say.
Is it going towards the football field? Is that where it's going?
Yep, it's all pitched down into that. There's a drain here, there's a drain here, there's a drain here, and everything is flowing that way and then out. But right now, what's happening is when it flows out, it's going into these catch basins and basically seeping back underneath the field or underneath the courts, creating the cracking when it expands and contracts due to weather conditions.
And there's no way without digging everything up that we can just prevent from doing that.
Well, with the Band-Aid method, we can put in additional drainage system to help. It's not going to solve the problem, but it will help move some of that water out of there.
Okay.
Basically, we would build up the courts, add in some PVC drainage, and just try to get as much off there as possible. But it cannot be guaranteed that it will.
Like, is that additional drainage system?
That is in the cost.
And to some extent, even if we do the entire dig out, water is water. Water tends to go a certain place where you don't want it to go based upon the pitch. Do we have any risk due to four courts having the same issue?
No, the new drainage system that we will be putting in will take care of that issue.
Okay, and that would be guaranteed, I presume.
That would be guaranteed. So, for a substantial amount of time, not for life. So. Okay, so that's option C. And then really option D is demoing completely and grading it and adding grass. That would be still between $100,000 and $150,000. So that's option D. Oh, and option E would be potentially looking at moving the four courts north towards Girard. So take these four courts, move them north where it's flatter, where there's no need for retaining walls. That would significantly reduce the cost. cost. We did not look into that one very aggressively, just due to the fence already being in process, and it would potentially add the need to move the fence. But that is another option that I just wanted to put on the table. But since we are in construction, it might not be the most viable option.
I mean, would it be a matter of moving the fence? I mean, because the fence is along, as I'm looking, of course, the right side, that's
Yep.
where the fence is.
The fence goes, well, it actually stops here, and it goes straight up to the corner of Gerard.
So you're saying if we move the Gerard, the courts will then be over where the fence would be?
It would be very close, and probably too close. There might be setbacks that would need to be looked at. It would work for the tennis courts, but I don't know if it would work code-wise.
What about the fields being used as practice areas? So like if you move the courts over that corner, do you still have, does it clear up as much field space for practices?
It would be close, but what would be needed to be done here is very aggressively grade this to make it flat and
Because you
flat.
have to fix this part.
Correct.
Which would add some cost.
Exactly.
Now, I'm understanding, are you moving it, I'm trying to understand where it would go. Would it go more or less away from the school or towards the school?
Away from,
Away from the school. Because those practice areas, I think, are more towards the school.
Well, I think they're that whole,
right in here, that, here and up to the corner of Gerard and Wyoming, they I guess Pee Wee practices there.
Right, right.
And Pony or whatever, and then they also practice over here, kind of behind the goalposts.
Will we be moving the courts into that area?
Correct.
that's why I'm saying, like, would you gain the same amount of field space where the courts are currently?
It would be
Right.
close. It would be close.
Right, right.
But the amount of money then to grade this area and make it playable, it would be close. But I figured I'd throw every option on the table.
Well, I mean, would that save us money off the 513 number? Because we have to clean that all up first. Then we have to build it somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, would it be a lot cheaper than the 513?
You wouldn't be building the retaining walls, which is probably the bulk of your cost. You would not be building any retaining walls up there when the courts are. But it creates more issues than with the fence as well.
Yeah. I don't know if it's feasible. If the fence is under construction, how can we modify that, stop that? And is that going to increase the cost of the fence? And to what extent?
We would have to look into what that would entail.
Well,
Well,
Okay.
I mean, if no courts and regrading costs $100,000 to $150,000. And two courts cost $270,000. We're getting pretty close to that. You know what I mean, that 513 number. I'm just trying to use some of the numbers that are here to figure out what
Yeah.
option would cost. And if you're looking, like, so demo and regrading is $150,000.
370, 420, I see what
For
you're saying.
just two courts, that's the
Right.
cost of two courts. Now I realize that adding two more on top of that is not double
Yeah.
the cost, it
Yeah.
will increase a little bit, but
So yeah, you're somewhere between the two costs and the 513.
like four-ish.
Four-ish. And which, if we go back to rebid in February for the original scope, potentially it could be, we could have more bidders, we could get a better price, just because it's in the winter months and contractors are a little bit more hungry. So, there's a potential to get under 500,000.
Well, I know, I almost think that we have to have a discussion with the board on this.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not gonna be made, I mean, we're not gonna make this call today. We've got a sense, get a sense of where everybody stands on this. And maybe at the next meeting, we'll have a conversation and try to come to some consensus on what people wanna do.
at least eliminate some options.
Eliminate some options, and then we can make a decision. I honestly, in my mind, I don't love a two-court idea, you know, especially if it's not gonna work for our educational purposes. I think it's shudder to think of D, just demoing it all. I mean, if it's 1 to 150 to demo it, and it's 228 to the banding, that's not a lot more money just to keep something there. And I appreciate we might have the issue going forward, at least we have something there, you know. I mean, I think it's probably between A and C. I like E, and if we thought about E a year ago, maybe we could have made it work, but I think it's almost too late now. You know, if we now we gotta modify the fence and deal with those permits, and we have things dug already, and, you know, it's like.
It would definitely,
be a mess.
it would definitely cause we'd have to, go back to the drawing board on this and start over. And one thing to consider, with all these options, with the exception of A, we would have to go back and do a full permitting process. We would have to, have Brian Bigman between $8,000 and $10,000 spent on new drawings, new construction documents, and basically start a new process unless we go with that. It's a whole new permitting process. I'm gonna go back to the
Even C is?
even C.
Even C is the permitting process.
Correct, everything but A. So back to zoning hearing board, codes, all that.
Well, I mean, would A require the same variances we got? Would C require the same variances?
It would have to be started completely over. It would be very close. The footprint is reduced, so I don't see an issue with the permitting going through. It would just need to be new documentation.
It's part of
Well,
the
I mean,
replaceable
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, and I don't recall this specifically, did we require variances for A?
We did not.
Okay, so theoretically, if variances aren't required to issue a permit, there's a possibility the permit could just be issued without going to zoning hearing. If there's no variance or needed.
It would be, we would still have to go to zoning hearing. We'd have to go through that entire process. Now, they might just let us go through, but I would still have to show up. They would still have to approve it in a meeting. Because it's a change in plans, it's a brand new set of plans. Even if it's a minute change by just taking out the fence in the middle, you know, it would still have to be done the proper way.
Well, I mean, and again, my somewhat limited knowledge of land use, if you file a permit and no variances are required, the which the zoning officer should permit?
Yes.
Zoning officer?
Yep.
The zoning officer can issue the permit. I mean, you know, for example, not every matter goes before the zoning hearing board. Like, for example, when I got a fence, I hate to use this analogy, a fence
Me too.
at my property,
Yeah.
I just filed a permit application, they looked at it, okay, it's approved. You know, so I don't know necessarily we need zoning hearing board, but I would hope that they would look at this and try to save costs on both ends here, and just say, okay, it's so similar, we understand what you're doing, and issue a permit.
I would hope to, I just,
But
in our
certainly
history
there's
here.
a possibility that that might not be the case, but I think if they just simply incorporated some of the things they had under A into C, I don't know. But you're right, you never know what would happen. It could be issued, but then it could not be issued, so we have to presume that we have to go a little further.
And not just that, we have to do an entire land development and stormwater plan over again, because as Ms. Vicente said, the impervious versus pervious has been reduced, which basically means less land will be disturbed, and less land will have asphalt on it in comparison to.
But that's a good thing. I mean,
It is a good thing.
It's a
I'm
good
just
thing.
saying we would still have to do the plan, and that
Gotcha.
would still have additional costs associated with it. That is not bad.
That's not a 228, or is it a little bit, or not really that much? Probably not.
He put in the construction costs.
Gotcha.
His fee would be separate from that, and he said maximum of $10,000 for any of this, which is about what we paid for the original plan. So it would be basically for his time and labor.
Plus, we have to go to zoning hearing where we might have some legal, maybe, a little bit, probably not a lot, maybe not all, if we know it's gonna get approved.
I would defer to Mark on that one. I'm
Okay.
not sure what they charge us to, when we
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
All right. Okay,
Would it be helpful for that to be in a chart for folks to see
to send this out to people beforehand. I don't want to just come here and say, hey, look what we have here today. I want you guys to give me your thoughts. I'd like to send it out so people have time to digest it and understand what the various options are so they come prepared to discuss it, meeting on Monday. I think that makes sense.
I can do that.
I think we do like an option
Yeah.
A through E.
Put a couple pros and cons on it.
Yep.
Yep, I'll take care of it.
We'll set it up by cost, by design, by pros, by cons.
Okay.
And then we can decide.
And then we can have a conversation at the next board meeting and get some direction on where the majority wants to go, and then hopefully get some direction to you, Mike, on what you go with.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, I've
Thank
been
you.
working on that, you're welcome. We're gonna jump right into the walk-in freezer. This was discussed in November as well. Basically, this would be located behind the cafeteria, where the old chillers used to sit. I had three companies come in, and the low was just around $75,000, and we discussed it with Diane, and basically this would double her freezer square footage to what she currently has. It will also improve her efficiency by having the freezer located closer to the kitchen. Literally, she'll be able to walk through one door and have access to the freezer. Right now, the freezer is located in the field house and causes some transportation needs from time to time, or really on a daily basis. So this discussion will be going to the finance committee and for discussion, and then I will await direction from then. As of right now, Train is still finishing up the project in that area, so this is not critical. We have time, or we can defer this to a later date if funds aren't available. But for right now, it's a big empty room that can be really utilized efficiently. So funds are available.
You said
75,000.
So I guess the first issue is, do we have money to do it? Or have further discussion of this one?
Correct.
Excellent. Okay, thanks.
Do you have anything?
Well, are we talking about the ceiling?
We do not have those prices as of still.
Would that change?
What we have right now in the chiller room is a partially open ceiling. Basically, in a commercial building, you need a fire-rated ceiling in between floors. So, if you can picture the ceiling above you, it's missing about 20 feet long by 20 feet wide in that room. So we have a couple options here. We have to get that sealed to make it fire rated. The entire room has holes in it where old piping hung and where old piping goes through the floor. It's from 1965, so it's been modified several times. All those holes and the big hole will need to be filled prior to the construction completed in that room. I'm getting two prices. One price to patch the big hole and just patch the little holes and make it fire rated. That's going to be the more economical fix. The other price I'm getting is to completely demo the ceiling, demo all the abandoned piping, wiring, you name it that's up there from 1965, and spray adhesive on there that is fire rated. Spray the ceiling, no need to build a new ceiling because it's all sprayed, fire rated, cleaned up. That's ideal simply because if we put a freezer in and we have some kind of leak or some kind of issue above the freezer, it's going to be very difficult to get above the freezer, demo the ceiling, work on what we have to work on. Right above that ceiling is the chem labs. A lot of gas lines that run up there, a lot of water. There's a lot of infrastructure in that ceiling. Some is usable, some is being used, some is abandoned. My thought was to clean it up prior to putting that freezer. Not saying it has to be, but what has to happen is we need to fire rate that room somehow. So I'm in the process of getting two prices, both ways, And once I have those prices, I'll bring them in front of the committee and we'll talk about it. But they are going to be in the thousands.
And is that, something we need to do regardless of?
We need to do one of the options regardless. The more economical option, I can't even give a guess, but I'm gonna think it's at least over $10,000, is to patch the big hole, patch all the little holes, and fire rate the room. Whether we do anything in there, that's just per code, and that was brought to our attention during our most recent fire marshal inspection. Why wasn't it caught years past? I don't know. Maybe because we're doing construction there and they're finally looking at it. But we, so yeah, that's been brought to our attention. We're gonna look into the cost.
Yeah, well, okay, I guess we can talk about that later. I mean, I guess my thought, I'm always concerned about doing something like that with just a fix. And then we have a big issue there. Now, what do we do if we can address it? You know, so.
It can be done. It will just make things harder. One good thing we have with the freezer is that it is a modular unit. So therefore, it could be taken apart if we had something major happen in there. But that's more time, that's more labor. So it's in. Next time I'll bring some pictures so I can show you actually what that ceiling looks like, and I think it will help you guys envision a little better. So,
Thanks.
you're welcome. All right, I got a few quick updates. Football field fence project. As anybody knows that has driven around the fence, we started digging foundations for the pillars. We've dug roughly over half. They were working over the holiday break. So the foundations have been dug, concrete has been poured. The next step is the masons are going to start erecting the columns. The bricks have been delivered. They're on site. We got a staging area in the parking lot outside the field house. Temporary fence has been completed. We have 2 gates that you can get into the temporary fence, and they are being locked after hours. They're being opened up in the morning. So basically, we are controlling that area during construction just to reduce liability. But other than that, we're at the mercy of the weather at this point. They're going to work when they can work. If it's too cold to do brick and mortar, they're not going to work. If there's snow on the ground, they're probably not going to work. They're going to work as much as they can work, and then really hit it hard in the spring and finish this up. That's the plan as of today.
Do you have any thoughts on estimated completion date? That's really a hard question to ask with the weather, but what's your goal as far as completion?
If I at this point, end of March, after the weather breaks, it's really, they looked at this as a 2-month process. So if they can get a month of work done between now and when the weather breaks, we've been looking at about another one. So end of March would be excellent, but I can't guarantee that. Any questions on that? Facility storage building. This project has went very positive. The building is up. There's heat is being pumped in there as we speak. The roof is on. The roofing material's done. The asphalt work around it, I was blown away. Right before the holidays, they came in and did asphalt work at 38-degree weather, and they did a real nice job. So all the asphalt work is done. The parking lot spaces have been striped. We have students and staff in the parking spaces this morning, which was very positive to see. So right now we're at the phase of the punch list. A little bit of electrical work to be done. Jack Kosopsky, our maintenance guy, will be painting the floor this week. We're going to put down a 3-part epoxy paint that seals the floor and will be conducive for maintenance activities. It does. It does, like your garage door. And then we're going to... We'll pick the color. And then after that is done, they're going to mount the fixtures, which is the toilet and the sink. And then we're going to put in all the new cabinets and all new storage racks. And hopefully take occupancy the middle of this month. And once we have occupancy, we're gonna start the process of cleaning out the old wood shop and moving over all our equipment and all our supplies over to the new space and free up that for a future STEM program. So that's the plan. Very positive. Proud. My maintenance guys are thrilled. I really can't thank you enough. It's made my life a lot easier. Or morale's up. So it's good. It's good. Oil tank removal, that's been done for a while. The 8,000 gallon oil tank has been removed, filled back in. There was no contamination. That went real well. New diesel tank over at the field house. The concrete pad has been poured. Bollards have been placed. We are waiting on the tank. The tank was ordered about 4 weeks ago. They said it's going to be about 48 weeks. So once we have the tank, they'll place the tank and then they'll install the roofing structure and finish up with some nice chain link fencing. And then our new diesel tank will be ready to use just in time for the heart of the winter. So that's good news. Not the winter part. All right, any questions on any of that? All right, junior senior high school HVAC project. The new chiller has been placed. The fencing has been completed. The piping is in the basically the chilled water piping is in the process of being buttoned up as we speak. The controls upgrade has also been completed, but we are still tweaking the controls to make them conducive with this building. You know, this is we're playing every day. It's a balancing act. We're trying to balance comfort with energy efficiency. So it's
That was nice. Balance comfort and energy efficiency, I think.
so
It's been a little cheap about that.
It's been a little toast.
a little
It's more
toast.
hospitable.
So once
Jeans and that's what
I tell Molly the same thing, but I lose. So once the chiller is online and commissioned, which I hope to be done in January or February at the latest, we will have the capability of cooling and heating simultaneously. So right now it's heat, which is good, but some of those mild days that we had in the 40s and 50s and 60s got a little toasty, but heat's better than cold. So that I'm hoping completion by end of February, early March, and then that would theoretically move us right into, well, a couple things. If we decide to do the ceiling, that would extend the project a little bit depending on which option, and also freezer. So that is that. Any questions on old business? Okay. New business. Real quick update on district-wide safety and security. I have reached out to Low V for the additional cameras and the additional door access controls for the hills and the high school. They're pretty much ready to go once the funds are released by the state. So once they get in, we're looking at 11 cameras and a couple of doors. I'm thinking a 2 to 3 week process once the materials are in hand. So that I'm looking forward to. So once we get the funds from the state, we'll move forward on that project, and I hope to have an update for you soon. Okay, 5-year capital plan. Mr. Boer and I are going to be reviewing the capital plan from last year, making revisions to it, and we plan to present it to you in February, either at finance or facilities or both. You might get a request. So we'll keep you posted on that one, but I just wanted to let you know that we're working on it and it's coming. Last but definitely not least, because this is by far my favorite, underneath your minutes, if I can find mine, is the facility use form, policy 707. I want to start this conversation with nothing has been, as you know, nothing has been changed to the policy or the form or the fee schedule, which you've all seen this document before. The exciting part about it is we finally have this digitized, and we are able, where this all started is communication between athletics and facilities. Basically, when outside groups ask to use our facility, they fill out this form, and it gets routed to Deirdre, and then it gets placed in school. And after that, then it goes on the schedule that is sent out weekly. But from time to time, things slip through the cracks, and athletics schedules an event where, in a gym, where an outside group had it scheduled for 6 months, or even, I think the minimum is 3 weeks. So, what this is going to do is, we are going to start directing outside groups to our website to fill out the form. And when that form is filled out and submitted, it will go to myself, Deirdre, athletics, and the building principal. That way, all of us are on the same page, and we all go through the approval process together. That way, we can catch conflicts prior to them happening, and also that way, everybody's on the same page for what's happening on the weekends and at night. So this, I gotta thank Mr. Arns for his help for this. He was able to get it on the website, and we hope to launch it sometime in January or early February, once we work on the communication piece to the outside groups. Mr. Ferradino and I are going to work on that together and reach out. We might even bring all the outside groups that we know are consistently here, bring them in for just a quick meeting to get them on the same page, and this will be a change for them, and kind of, it's going to act as a good reminder of the process of how early it should be submitted, what you need, clearances, the whole list. So,
is there a master calendar?
there, yes.
It's electronic, I'm assuming?
Correct.
And so that all the principals have access to that calendar? Okay.
Absolutely.
That's been in place for a number of years,
Well,
so
it would-
for that, so it's just.
That's what school is, is a
Correct.
master calendar?
Yep. This is just to help with the bringing in the outside groups that don't have access to school.
Right.
This will bring them in and basically allow us to see it well in advance. And this will help out the athletics as well when they have to reschedule practices due to weather, bring kids inside. They'll have a heads up and they'll know where they can and cannot go. Obviously, district activities take priority. We always have the option to move the outside groups if we have to, but this way we might not have to do that as much because we'll know what's available and what's not.
So like when there's inclement weather and the coach has to bring or wants to bring the team inside, do they have to go through Frank to do that, or do they just like start walking their kids inside?
Nope, Frank and Jen handle that piece, and then they look at school due, they look at schedule start, and they make sure it will work and there's zero conflicts. So this is gonna hopefully make all of our lives a little easier. It's step one.
This is really difficult to remember, as we continue to ask questions, we continue and really talk about this in cabinet to come up with a more efficient process to make sure that all folks are aware of what's happening, so that we don't have double things like that.
So you stress.
Do what you gotta do,
Feel
right?
lucky in the hallways. Sounds like fun. Not doing this.
Well, that's all I have at this point. If there's not any other questions, thank you for coming today after long holiday break.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
You're welcome. So again, next meeting is Tuesday, February 7th, 2017, 8 a.m.